A cart driver curses as his wagon wedges between timber houses jutting overhead. Behind him, 100 merchants, livestock and pedestrians jam the narrow passage. Above, shopkeepers lean from windows 4 stories high, their signs creaking ominously. Below, the Thames roars through 19 stone arches, creating waterfalls so violent that boatmen call them the Falls. This is London Bridge in 1590, not just a crossing, but a vertical city perched impossibly over raging water. Welcome to Elizabethan London, where 500 people live their entire lives suspended above the Thames, and England's greatest playwright pens masterpieces that will echo through centuries. Welcome to Arthur's living history. Have you ever wondered what it was like to live on a bridge surrounded by shops and neighbours, with the river thundering beneath your floorboards? Let me explain. November 17th, 1558. Church bells cascade across London as 25-year-old Elizabeth Tudor becomes queen. The city that greets her contains roughly 100,000 souls, still largely confined within Roman walls. But over the next 45 years, London will transform into something unprecedented. England's beating commercial heart, a cultural phenomenon that doubles its population and establishes patterns of urban life recognizable today. Elizabeth inherits a kingdom scarred by religious turmoil. Her sister Mary's Catholic restoration sent Protestants fleeing or to the flames. Her father Henry's break with Rome created chaos that still reverberates. Elizabeth navigates these treacherous waters with remarkable skill, establishing a moderate Church of England that most subjects can accept, if not embrace.
Worthy of the vocation wherein ye are called.
Religious stability creates conditions for something England desperately needs: prosperity. The Thames serves as London's highway. Every morning, thousands of wherries, small rowing boats, ferry passengers between the city's northern bank and Southwark to the south. Larger merchant vessels crowd the Pool of London, their masts creating a forest visible from miles away. Ships arrive from the Mediterranean bearing wine, spices, sugar, silks. From the Baltic come timber, tar, iron. The newly chartered trading companies, the Muscovy Company in 1555, the Levant Company in 1581, the mighty East India Company in 1600, open routes to distant lands that previous generations only dreamed about. Sir Thomas Gresham, energetic merchant and financial advisor to the Crown, finances London's first stock exchange, where traders meet to negotiate deals worth fortunes. Wealth flows through London like never before. Successful merchants commission portraits to display their respectability. Sober clothing swells. From 100,000 in 1558 swells. From 100,000 in 1558 to 200,000 by Elizabeth's passing in 1603. The city bursts beyond its medieval walls. Rich courtiers build grand houses along the Strand, connecting London proper with Westminster. The dissolution of monasteries under Henry VIII freed enormous tracts of land within the city for new construction. What were once quiet religious precincts become bustling neighbourhoods. But for all London's expansion, one crossing dominates the city's geography and imagination: London Bridge. Completed in 1209, this stone marvel remains the only fixed Thames crossing downstream of Kingston. To reach Southwark from the city without using the bridge requires a detour of miles. The bridge itself is an engineering achievement that leaves visitors gasping. 926 feet long, supported by 19 massive stone piers surrounded by wooden starlings. Enclosures filled with rubble driven into the riverbed. The piers create a problem nobody anticipated. By blocking up to 70% of the river's natural flow, They turn the Thames into a series of waterfalls. The difference in water height between upstream and downstream can reach 6 feet at low tide. These rapids, called the Falls, make shooting the bridge terrifyingly dangerous.
Sixpence more for the shooting of the bridge, sir. The falls are running high, but my...
Boatmen give each arch individual names, Gutlock, Long Entry, and charge premium rates for passengers brave or foolish enough to attempt passage. Most Londoners wisely choose to disembark before the bridge, walk across, and hire another boat on the far side. Smart business for the watermen, who maintain thousands of wherries. The wealthy, including Queen Elizabeth herself, travel by private barge with cushioned seats and canopies protecting from weather and sun.
This silk imported from Italy.
But London Bridge offers something no boat can: shopping. By the 1590s, approximately 200 buildings crowd the bridge's span, some rising 6 stories high. These aren't ordinary structures. They project outward from both sides of the bridge, supported by timber beams laid between the massive stone piers. The buildings lean inward toward each other, creating a tunnel effect. As one 18th century traveller recalled, "I well remember the street on London Bridge, narrow, darksome and dangerous to passengers from the multitude of carriages. You could walk halfway across the bridge and remain unaware you were suspended over water." The roadway varies from just 12 feet wide beneath Nonsuch House to 18 feet near the Suffolk end. Barely enough space for 2 carts to squeeze past each other. Massive timber beams called cross buildings span the street at intervals, connecting houses on opposite sides from the 2nd floor upward. These oversails provide extra living space and stabilize buildings against Thames winds, but leave barely 10 feet of vertical clearance. Tall carts scrape against the timbers overhead. Every building on the bridge serves commerce. Ground floors house shops, haberdashers, drapers, mercers, glovers, grocers, booksellers. These traders sell comparison goods, items purchased occasionally after examining multiple options. Customers move from shop to shop, evaluating quality and price. The northern section commands higher rents, being closer to the wealthy city merchants. Competition is fierce, and only the most successful merchants can afford bridge addresses. Living on London Bridge requires peculiar accommodations. Fire presents constant danger, so bridge house authorities prohibit ovens and cooking fires where possible. Still, the Sun Tavern operates from 1320, and the Cross Keys Alehouse serves drinks from 1581. Most buildings feature multiple stories: shops on ground floors, halls and chambers above, kitchens and waterhouses on upper floors where residents haul water up in buckets from the Thames far below. Garrets crowd under the roofs. Families somehow raise children in these precarious perches. Sanitation is basic. Latrines project from building sides, depositing contents directly into the Thames below. The river handles everything: sewage, industrial waste, dead animals, refuse. Yet surprisingly, plague rates on the bridge remain lower than in the packed city streets. Perhaps the constant wind and river spray provide some protection. The bridge's southern end features the stone gate, rebuilt in elegant style, but serving a grim purpose. From 1577 onward, this gateway displays the tarred, preserved heads of executed traitors impaled on wooden poles. Londoners grow accustomed to this macabre decoration. When William Shakespeare walks to Suffolk for theatre performances, he passes beneath the heads of his own relatives, John Somerville and Edward Arden, executed in 1583 for an alleged Catholic plot against Elizabeth. The most spectacular building on the bridge is Nonsuch House, constructed in 1577 to replace the old drawbridge tower. Prefabricated in Holland and shipped to London for assembly, this 4-story marvel features onion domes on its corners and a brilliantly painted facade, one of England's earliest examples of classical Renaissance architecture. Designed by Lewis Stockett, who also worked on Somerset House, Nonsuch House becomes the most prestigious address in London. Its ground floors house haberdashery and drapers' shops that cater to wealthy clients. Another architectural wonder, the house with many windows, rises at the southern end. Built in 1547, it features 4 semicircular towers with spiral staircases topped by battlements mirroring the stone gate opposite. These grand buildings testify to the bridge's importance as more than mere crossing. It's a statement of London's prosperity and ambition. Crossing London Bridge during Elizabeth's reign is an experience engaging every sense. The sound alone overwhelms, cartwheels rumbling on stone, horses' hooves clattering, merchants crying their wares, shoppers bargaining loudly, cattle and sheep being driven to market. The smell mixes shop goods with animal waste, river water, cooking food, and unwashed humanity packed too close together. The visual spectacle stuns, colourful shop signs swinging overhead, timber buildings leaning at impossible angles, well-dressed merchants examining fabrics, apprentices dashing between errands, and always the crowds. Traffic jams are legendary. A loaded cart blocking the narrow passage can halt movement for an hour. Tempers flare, arguments erupt. Meanwhile, merchandise must move. Wool and cloth heading to docks for export, spices and wine coming from ships to city warehouses, livestock driven to Smithfield Market, furniture and household goods transported to new homes. The bridge never stops, never rests. Even at night, lanterns flicker in upper windows where families live their suspended lives. While London Bridge channels commerce, Southwark, the bridge's southern terminus, channels entertainment. Just beyond the bridge lies London's pleasure district, home to theatres, bear-baiting arenas, taverns, gambling houses and brothels. The city's Puritan authorities disapprove of such establishments within their jurisdiction, but they can't control Southwark, technically outside city limits. So this becomes where Londoners come to forget their troubles. In 1599, something extraordinary happens in Southwark. Late one December night, a group of men, including actor Richard Burbage and playwright William Shakespeare, commit an audacious act. They dismantle the theatre in Shoreditch, transport its timbers across the Thames, and use them to construct a new playhouse on Bankside. They call it the Globe. The Globe Theatre opens its doors in summer 1599, probably in time for the premiere of Henry V, with its famous prologue addressing the Wooden O. The structure is magnificent, a polygonal amphitheatre approximately 100 feet in diameter, rising 3 stories high. The open-air design accommodates 3,000 spectators, though modern safety regulations would never permit such crowds. The stage thrusts into the central yard where groundlings stand for a penny, the cheapest entertainment in London. The Globe operates on an unprecedented business model. 6 actors own shares in the theatre itself. The Burbage brothers, Richard and Cuthbert, hold double shares, 25% each. Shakespeare, John Heminges, Augustine Phillips and Thomas Pope each own 12.5%. This arrangement gives the company creative control and financial stability. Shakespeare's share eventually diminishes to roughly 7% as new partners join, but he profits handsomely from both acting and playwriting. The Globe becomes Shakespeare's creative home for his mature works. Between 1599 and 1613, audiences witness first performances of Julius Caesar, Hamlet, Othello, King Lear, Macbeth, Antony, and Cleopatra, The Tempest. These plays speak to Elizabethan concerns, political legitimacy, ambition, honour, revenge, love, but transcend their moment. 400 years later, theatres worldwide still stage them to packed houses. Attending a Globe performance is unlike modern theatre. Performances occur in afternoon daylight. No artificial lighting exists. Flags announce what's playing. Black for tragedies, white for comedies, red for histories. The atmosphere is raucous. Groundlings eat nuts, drink ale, heckle actors, shout commentary. Wealthier patrons sit in covered galleries, but even they remain visible to performers and fellow audience members. Theatre is communal experience, not passive observation. Elizabethan acting requires extraordinary skill. Women cannot perform, so young men play female roles. Actors must project without microphones to reach 3,000 people, many of them rowdy. Stage directions are minimal. Actors rely on language cues within the text. Costumes are elaborate and expensive, often more costly than the play itself. The Globe's wardrobe represents significant investment, but the Globe is just one theatre among several. The Rose, the Swan, the Fortune, the Hope, Southwark and its surroundings host numerous playhouses competing for audiences. Christopher Marlowe's plays compete with Shakespeare's. Ben Jonson writes biting satires. Thomas Dekker produces comedies. London's theatrical scene explodes with creativity that historians will call the English Renaissance. Queen Elizabeth herself loves theatre. She commands performances at court during Christmas festivities and summer progress. Seeing the same play at court versus the Globe represents vastly different experiences. Intimate indoor performance for select nobles versus 3,000 rowdy Londoners in open air. Yet both audiences thrill to the language, the drama, the spectacle. Elizabeth's patronage extends beyond theatre to all arts. Musicians, poets, painters, scholars all find support in Elizabethan England. The Queen understands that cultural achievement enhances national prestige. When foreign ambassadors visit, they experience not just political power, but artistic sophistication. England is no longer a backward island, but a centre of European civilization. Trade fuels everything. London's merchants grow wealthy, importing luxuries and exporting English wool, cloth, metalwork. The Royal Exchange, opened in 1571, provides a meeting place where domestic and foreign traders negotiate deals. Unlike medieval guilds that controlled specific trades, Elizabethan commerce embraces new opportunities. Merchants invest in expeditions to Russia, the Mediterranean, the Indies. Some ventures fail spectacularly. Others return with cargo worth fortunes. The distinction between legal trade and piracy sometimes blurs. Sea dogs, like Francis Drake and John Hawkins, raid Spanish treasure ships with Elizabeth's tacit approval. When Drake circumnavigates the globe and returns with Spanish gold, Elizabeth knights him aboard his ship. The Spanish ambassador protests furiously, but Elizabeth smiles and pockets her share of the profits. This maritime adventurism culminates in 1588, when Spain's Philip II sends his armada to invade England and restore Catholicism. The threat terrifies Londoners. If Spanish troops land, London faces sacking. But English seamanship, fireships, storms and luck combine to destroy the armada. Church bells ring across London in celebration. Elizabeth has secured England's Protestant future and established naval supremacy. London during Elizabeth's final years differs dramatically from the city she inherited. The population has doubled, trade has tripled, theatre flourishes, architecture advances. The city expands beyond its walls, creating suburbs that will eventually merge into continuous urban sprawl. A middle class of merchants, lawyers, physicians and tradesmen emerges. People with disposable income who commission portraits, buy books, attend theatre, purchase luxury goods. Yet poverty persists. About 1/3 of Londoners live in desperate circumstances. Vagabonds and beggars crowd the streets. Disease strikes regularly. Plague outbreaks in 1563, 1589 and 1603 carry off thousands. The gap between rich and poor widens. Grand houses on the Strand contrast starkly with overcrowded tenements in squalid neighbourhoods. Public sanitation barely exists. Residents throw waste into streets, hoping rain will wash it to the Thames. Rats multiply in the filth. Water comes from wells, conduits or water carriers who hawk their goods. Streets are dark after sunset. Those who venture out risk robbery or worse. Yet somehow, the city functions. Commerce continues, theatres fill, life goes on. On March 24, 1603, Queen Elizabeth passes away at Richmond Palace. She's ruled for 44 years, never married, leaving no direct heir. The crown passes to James VI of Scotland, great-great-grandson of Henry VII. The Elizabethan age officially ends, though its cultural achievements endure. London Bridge continues serving its vital purpose, though the buildings gradually deteriorate. The Globe burns down in 1613 during a performance of Henry VIII when a stage cannon misfires, igniting the thatched roof. It's rebuilt within a year but closes permanently in 1642 when Puritans ban theatre. The bridge's buildings are finally removed in the 1750s to ease congestion. The medieval stone bridge itself survives until 1831, when a new crossing replaces it. But Elizabethan London's legacy transcends its physical structures. Shakespeare's plays remain humanity's most performed theatrical works. The English language expanded dramatically during Elizabeth's reign as writers experimented with new expressions. London established patterns of commerce, urban development and cultural production that shaped modern cities worldwide. That crowded, dangerous, exhilarating crossing that was London Bridge represents Elizabethan London perfectly. Commerce and culture impossibly balanced above rushing water, always on the edge of disaster, yet somehow magnificent in its audacity. 500 people living their entire lives suspended between city and suburb, between medieval and modern, between the solid ground of tradition and the rushing current of change. If you want to explore more pivotal moments in London's extraordinary history, subscribe to Arthur's Living History. I'm Arthur, and I want to know, what historical event should I recreate next? Let me know in the comments.